with a hammer today? No, I think I'll skip it. Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Charter Township Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. I call the meeting to order. If you'd please join me in a recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, please.
Sherry Budd. Here. Bernie Grant is excused. Peter Creel. Here. Medina Atchison is excused. Jackson Paul.
Here.
Jeff Jar.
Here.
And Brian Cullen is excused.
Thank you. We have an agenda before us this evening. I would entertain a motion of approval.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any discussion of that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We also have the minutes from the regular meeting of July 9th, 2025 before us. I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from July 9th, 2025.
Support.
And support. Any discussion of the motion or the minutes themselves? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. I don't believe we have any correspondence or announcements this evening from staff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. This takes us to the general public comment section of our meeting. General public comment is for items that are not under the public hearing or under items that are covered by the public comment periods below for the specific development projects on the agenda this evening. If there's any member of the general public who would like an opportunity to speak, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. I do not see any members of the general public stepping up to the podium this evening, so I'll close the general public comment period. We do not have a public hearing this evening, and we do not have any old business this evening. However, we have several new business items. That'll take us to item number 1, case 24-010, McDonald's final site plan approval. This is a request by the applicant Tanya Momchev on behalf of owner McDonald's Corporation to tear down and rebuild the McDonald's. The location is at 10760 Belleville Road. This evening, I believe, do we have a presentation from township staff? Ms. Williams?
I will defer to our planning associate, Vidya Krishnan.
Thank you, Brittany. Good evening, members of the commission. The request before you tonight is for final site plan approval for the McDonald's rebuild on Belleville Road. The site is zoned C2, which is Extensive Highway Business District, and it is located within the core commercial subarea of the Belleville Road Overlay District. Now, the applicant did appear before you on April 23rd of this year, and they did receive preliminary site plan approval subject to a whole bunch of conditions. Typically, after preliminary site plan approval, the applicant completes engineering and any outstanding issues or conditions placed and comes back before you for final. I will review those in brief. On the site plan, the applicant has clarified that deliveries will take place at non-peak hours of operation. This was done to minimize any conflict with the drive-through or the bypass lane around the drive-throughs on the site itself. The Township Fire Marshal, we anticipate, will approve the access plan because they did approve the preliminary layout of the site also. At the PC meeting, just like Chick-fil-A, the Planning Commission allowed the applicant to drop the number of RV parking spaces from 2 to 1, with the understanding that one space should be adequate to meet the needs based upon how we have seen the use of such spaces go on these sites. It would also provide for more separation between the drive-through and the bypass lane and the actual RV parking. The applicant has removed all invasive species from their landscape list. It's got all native species at this time. They have provided calculations for the interior parking lot landscaping, which now complies with the ordinance standards. and have also added 2 additional trees in lieu of the ones that they are removing next to the third access drive to the north. One of the big points of discussion was the B-Rod amenities that the site had to provide. On the northeast corner of the site, there is currently a bench, but it's our understanding from the DDA director that the bench and the area where the bench is located is not really well maintained. The bench is tilting and the pavers are not in good condition. So the applicant will be redoing that area, providing a new graded, properly graded, integrally stamped concrete plaza area, and the existing bench will be reinstalled. There will also be a new trash receptacle with some attractive landscaping around it, and this should meet the requirements for the B-Rod for amenities. At this time in your packet, the building elevations are there. The actual material specifications are not there, but the applicant is aware that they will have to comply with whatever was approved at the time of preliminary site plan approval, including the specific brick and the specific colors that the Planning Commission had approved. And the applicant is aware that nothing can be changed without prior approval from the township. A photometric plan was submitted at the time of preliminary site plan approval. The Planning Commission was still working on the draft of the new lighting ordinance. Since then, the lighting ordinance has now been adopted. The applicant has revised the plan. For the most part, the site complies, except for the paved surface areas. The maximum permitted illumination level is 2-foot candles. They are allowed to go up to 5-foot candles with Planning Commission approval. In a couple of areas, it notes that the maximum illumination level shall be 5.4-foot candles. So the illumination needs to be adjusted and bought under 5, not to exceed 5. The dumpster gates are now pressure-treated wooden gates. We had previously questioned why is there a utility lead to the storage shed next to the dumpster, and that was basically so they could hose the dumpster out and be able to clean it. The signage will be submitted for administrative review and approval. I defer to the township engineer for compliance with engineering standards. And one of the conditions that was added at the Planning Commission meeting based upon the DDA feedback was that the southern exit drive from the site onto Belleville Road should be changed to right turn only. Based upon the DDA study of crash data, that area is one of the highest crash tests because people turning left would enter into a center lane conflict with those coming out of the Walmart parcel, so on and so forth. So the applicant has added signs saying right turn only, and that should help prevent any conflicts. Based upon our review, we believe all of the conditions of preliminary site plan approval have been met at this time with a minor correction. So our recommendation is for the Planning Commission to grant final site plan approval for the McDonald's restaurant rebuild at 10760 Belleville Road, subject to reduction in the illumination levels for the paved areas to a maximum of 5-foot candles. And just reiterating that the proposed building must be constructed in compliance with the colors for materials as was shown in the preliminary approval set. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Do we have a presentation from engineering this evening?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. At this time, we have reviewed the McDonald's site redevelopment plans for final engineering compliance. Our review will be short, being a reconstruction of an existing building. There is no new water main placed on site. The applicant will be utilizing the existing water main or water service on site. The sanitary sewer will also be tapping into the existing sanitary sewer service lead on site. Some minor comments regarding cleanouts and vertical separation, which can be handled after or at the time prior to an issued for construction set of drawings. The stormwater management, the applicant's plan includes full removal of the existing stormwater structures and sewers and the installation of a new full stormwater management system that includes catch basin structures, underground sewers, and an underground detention system that ultimately outlets to the existing storm manhole on the west side of Belleville Road. The only minor comments that we have is the plans currently show roof drainage discharging directly into the system, which bypasses the stormwater treatment, which is not allowed. And that the stormwater treatment system must be sized appropriately to for the flow that's coming into the system, which is a relatively simple fix. Other than that, the only major comment that we have is they have not yet gotten Wayne County approval. I know they're waiting on some final comments from the county and just got some word today that it's still under review. We don't foresee any major issues coming from the county at this time, but as we state in our letter, that any changes that do happen that change the overall look or design of the site could result in coming back to the Planning Commission. We don't foresee that happening, and any minor comments that the county has, we'll be sure to take into consideration and make sure that these final comments are also part of the final issued for construction set of drawings at the time prior to going to construction. So at this time, Fishbeck recommends the Planning Commission grant McDonald's site redevelopment site plans dated June 30th, 2025. Final site plan approval subject to the comments listed in our letter dated July 16th, 2025. And with the condition that they receive county approval prior to going to any pre-construction or construction of the site. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Cammer, Ms. Williams, could you take care of the fire department's input, please?
Yes, I will. The fire department letter dated July 14th states that the status is approved final site plan, says water supply compliant. They've stated the fire department access is compliant with general comments stating combustible waste materials creating a fire hazard shall not be allowed to accumulate in buildings or structures or upon premises during renovation. IFC 2021-304.1. And it says no parking, fire lane signage shall be field verified. And I will answer any questions.
At this time, if there's a presentation from the applicant, please feel free to approach the podium. Let the record show that the applicant has said he's good. He's here to answer our questions, but doesn't have a presentation at this time. Also doesn't have a microphone from down there. Great. Planning Commission, I will open this to Planning Commission discussion. Commissioners, any questions?
Maybe just question for, I don't know, general question. I like the idea of a right turn lane there, just for safety purposes. The only concern is that, is there a great place to turn around should you want to go north on Belleville Road? I would anticipate people would probably have to go through, I think it's like Belleville Square is what it's called, like kind of in between the Verizon store and McDonald's. That would probably be utilized more for people trying to head more northbound. That would just be my only concern, is that increased traffic flow or.
Go ahead, please.
Commissioner Paul, because of the fact that they are installing a new access drive to the north, anybody who wants to head north on Belleville Drive will merely have to take another half a loop around the side, head to the north, get onto the main access boulevard, and head north. Perfect. So it's a very short loop. They will not be entering into the drive area of any other business or creating any conflict. So perfect. I think that was the reason why McDonald's was also okay, because, you know, we don't want people to try making an illegal north over there. If they have to go too far, they're just going to ignore it and try the turn. But this would provide them an easy way. So it should not create any traffic conflicts on any other side.
Yep. That was my only concern on that. Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions for staff or the applicant, who is here to answer questions? None?
The only thing through the chair, sorry. Only thing I would just ask the applicant is the notes that were commented. I mean, I'm assuming Wayne County is they're just going to get back when they get back, right? Hopefully soon. But anything that was outlined in the McKenna letter about adjusting the lighting or the other comments, is that okay? Great.
The applicant didn't come to the podium, but did another wave off and said no concerns. No, that's okay. I think if that was the last of the questions, I think we're all right, sir. Thank you. Is that the last of the questions from the commission? Any more discussion? Hearing no other discussion points from the Planning Commission, I will open this to public comment. I see some members of the public have just walked in. We are discussing the McDonald's final site plan approval. If there is anyone here that has any public comment on what they've heard in the presentation, please feel free to this time approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone? I do not see anyone raising their hand. So we'll close the public comment section. Well, at this time, I believe we are to item E, the Planning Commission. Are we ready to make a decision on final site plan approval? I would entertain a motion.
Through the chair.
Sir.
I move to grant on case number 24-010, McDonald's final site plan approval. Applicant Tanya Manchev, on behalf of owners McDonald's Corporation, final site plan approval to tear down and rebuild a McDonald's at the site located at 10760 Belleville Road. Based on the analysis and subject to the conditions detailed in the McKenna letter dated July 11th, the Fishback letter dated July 16th, the Van Buren Township Fire Report dated July 14th, and that's it.
We have a motion on the table. Is there support for the motion?
Support.
Support for the motion. Commissioners, is there any discussion on the content of the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Peter Creel,
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You have your final site plan approval. We're looking forward to having a newly refreshed McDonald's soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
That brings us to new business item number 2 this evening, which is case 25-015, Project Venture, a tree removal permit approval request. This is a request by the applicant HIP 6 Enterprises, LLC, on behalf of owner Wayne County Airport Authority to remove trees on the subject site as part of the site's development plan pursuant to the requirements of Section 8.106 of the zoning ordinance. The site is located at the parcel V125-83-017-99-0002-705, which is on the north side of Ecorse Road, south of Van Born Road, and east of Denton, and west of Beck Road. At this time, I would entertain the presentation from township staff.
Thank you. I will defer to our principal planner, Vidya Krishnan.
Ms. Krishnan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request before you tonight is for approval of a tree removal permit for Project Venture. If the Planning Commission recollects, preliminary site plan approval was granted on June the 11th for this project to construct a 2,111,200 square foot building within a 354.85 acre parcel that is owned by Wayne County Airport Authority. The site is zoned M2, which is general industrial, and a portion of the use was a principal permitted use, and they needed special land use approval for the outdoor storage portion, which the Planning Commission made a recommendation to Board of Trustees. At the time the applicant appeared before you for preliminary site plan approval, they were still in the process of conducting their tree survey because the site is so extensive that they were still in the process of enumerating all the regulated trees as required by our ordinance, which is the reason why they are appearing for tree removal permits separately rather than in conjunction with the site plan as we typically do. Section 8.106 of Van Buren Township zoning ordinance regulates woodlands and all related items to tree removal and tree replacement. Now, a tree removal permit is required whenever any tree that is 5 inches DBH or greater is removed. That is considered as a regulated tree in our zoning ordinance. If a site is larger than 1 acre, the property is required to try and maintain at least 37% of all regulated trees on the site itself. 37% tree preservation requirement is noted in the ordinance. However, the Planning Commission is allowed to modify this based on the nature of the proposed development, the location of the existing trees, and based upon whether it is feasible or not to meet that 37% requirement. Per the tree survey provided, if the Planning Commission noticed, you got probably a PDF of the tree survey, which was like a mini textbook by itself. The site has got a total of 12,573 trees, so they tagged and surveyed every single tree over there. Of the 12,573 trees, only 2,405 are regulated, which means the remaining trees are either less than 5 inches DBH or they are considered as nuisance species under our zoning ordinance. And nuisance species would be trees such as cottonwoods, box elders, or tree species that are invasive that we do not allow anybody to plant at this time. And those are trees that we do allow people to remove from their property because they have more negative effects than being a positive contribution to the environment itself. Of the 2,405 regulated trees, the applicant is proposing a preservation of 695 trees and a removal of 1,708 regulated trees. This translates to a tree preservation percentage of 28.92%. Now, of the regulated trees that are being removed, 1,708 require replacement. The applicant is proposing a total of 320 replacement trees, of which, now if you look at the tree replacement notation in our zoning ordinance, the replacement is either a 1:1, or if the replacement tree is of a larger size. The larger the tree, the more expensive it becomes to replace, because if you go to a nursery, you typically see the 2.5-inch caliper trees. That is standard. So the larger the tree, the greater the size is. Even at the time of planting, the tree tends to get established faster and grow faster than if it were a smaller sapling. So the zoning ordinance does permit a replacement ratio of 1:1.5 or 1:2, depending upon the size of the replacement tree. So of the total of 320 replacement trees, 270 trees are of higher size, resulting in a 1:1.5 and 1:2 replacement ratio. And 50 trees are the regular replacement size, which counts for 1:1 replacement. So this results, the 270 trees is actually the equivalent of 459.5 trees if they were to replace it 1-on-1. So if you were to add the 50 trees on a 1:1 replacement, the replacement tree count would be about 509.5 trees. This would still result in a tree replacement shortfall of 1,199 trees. Now, the applicant has executed a development agreement with the township in which they are proposing payment in lieu of tree replacement, which is a permitted option in our zoning ordinance when trees cannot reasonably be accommodated on the site itself. In addition to these replacement trees that the applicant is planting, there are 350 additional trees that are required as part of their landscaping requirements. Oh, I'll stop shouting. So
The air conditioning unit
it
just turned
suddenly
off,
stopped
and the
and
mics
I
aren't very
realized I
hot
was so
tonight.
loud. So our zoning ordinance does not allow landscape trees to be counted towards replacement also. Replacement trees are above and beyond required landscaping. So for their required landscaping, which are all the green belt, parking lot landscaping, so on and so forth, they need at least 350 trees, which they are planting. In addition to that, they are planting 270 larger size replacement trees and another 50 additional trees on a 1:1 replacement. So overall, if you look at the net trees being planted on the site, it's a total of 670 new trees being planted, of which 270 will be of the larger size itself. When you're removing trees and the earth is being disturbed, you do need permit from other regulating authorities. The applicant has obtained a soil erosion permit from Wayne County for their project, and their request involves proceeding with grading activities on the site. So the intent of this tree removal permit is they cannot grade the site and prep anything unless the trees are removed, because the trees are located where the building footprint is to be located. The applicant, since the onset of this project, has also been working with Eagle because the site has got significant amount of regulated wetlands. If you look at the site plan, of the 354 acres, about 91.57 acres, that is approximately 25% of the entire site, is regulated wetlands, which means the applicant cannot do anything about it. All those areas need to be preserved. Eagle does not allow that kind of work. The only place where the applicant is touching regulated wetlands is where they are putting in the required emergency access out to Beck Road or to anywhere where it is essential for fire or secondary emergency access. Those are the only areas where the regulated wetlands are being mitigated. The other places, if you see, there are large swaths within the site itself that are completely being maintained as is. The applicant will have to supply Eagle's permit for construction activity on the site prior to any clearing activity taking place. Now, the ordinance specifies what is required to be submitted when you request a tree removal permit, and the section enumerates that they need to have a topographical survey, they need to tag every tree, they need to list every regulated tree, they need to list the nuisance species, they need to provide a tree summary, and the applicant has met all of the standards that are listed in this specific section to be submitted to enable us to complete this review. In addition to the submission requirements, there are specific standards that the ordinance requires before the Planning Commission approves the permit itself. Typically, when we review industrial sites, a 354-acre site would accommodate at least 4 or 5 different industrial developments. Just to give a context for size, the last Ashley Crossroads project that you reviewed, which had all of Building 11, had Building 8 and Building 9, was only 117 acres or less. I think it was 108 when the wetlands were taken out. By contrast, this site is so much larger. So the amount of trees and the amount of areas that are buildable is, to put into context, we are not building multiple buildings. It is one large building that is being built on the site itself. The subject site, as I mentioned, it occupies 354 acres. It's got street frontage on 3 sides and a railroad frontage on the 4th side. It's got the railroad to the north, Denton Road to the west, Ecos Road to the south, and Beck Road to the east. 25% of the site is regulated wetlands. In addition to all of this, the southern portion of the site has got a triangular piece of land which is called the APZ. It is either the airport or the asset protection zone. This is the area that lies actually in the path of the runway for Willow Run Airport. Within this area, no trees can be planted, no tall objects can be planted, and also in the periphery of this APZ, the kind of plantings that we are seeing is regulated, so there is no overgrowth of anything that would infringe upon keeping this clear zone for the runway aircraft takeoff itself. So having all these limitations on the site, with 25% being regulated wetlands, having multiple street frontages where the applicant has to meet the greenbelt requirements, which the Planning Commission has approved for the site and the applicant is complying with, and also having this asset protection zone, we believe places significant limitations in the applicant's ability to place any more trees on any portion of the property. While reviewing this tree removal permit, we worked with PEA Architects, the applicant's consultant who did all the tree survey, to try and put in as many trees as possible on the site, while we want to make sure the trees are adequately spaced. If you crowd them too much, they're either a disease is going to spread or they're going to kill each other while competing to grow in the same place. So even with maximizing the amount of trees, they cannot possibly fit any more trees than what they are proposing and what they're preserving on the site itself. It is going to be a well-landscaped site. We believe that by itself is a justification for them falling under the 37% minimum tree preservation requirement. The ordinance requires the integrity of the woodland areas to be maintained to the extent reasonably possible. So as I mentioned, the applicant is very cognizant of the fact that we have the Denton Village subdivision to the northwest of the site. It does not immediately border upon the applicant's site, but the applicant is maintaining all existing vegetation along the northwest side, along the railroad, and along the northeast side where their outdoor storage areas are, even though the closest home on Beck Road is over 1,000 feet away from any of their outdoor storage areas. So the site plan has taken into account tree preservation in all the areas where it would have maximum impact and mitigate any potential adverse impacts of the development on the site itself. The proposed clearing, as I mentioned, is confined to immediate areas around the large warehouse structure footprint, the employee parking areas, their trailer staging areas, and their outdoor storage areas. So these are the only areas where clearing is taking place. what is essential in order to accommodate the development itself. The applicant is not proposing relocating any of the trees. We have on projects, not in Van Buren, but it's been my experience in other communities, when trees are uprooted, long-established trees, and you try to relocate them to other places, the viability of the tree decreases significantly. The chances of survival are not as great because a tree that is long established in an area, the system is in shock when you just pluck it out and try to now start putting it into the ground. So newer trees that are being planted will establish themselves. So the applicant is proposing tree removal rather than selectively pick trees which they can move around the site itself. Any use, the applicant is required to provide reasonable drainage on the site. And as was done during the preliminary review, the applicant is working at this time with Wayne County, and they will need Wayne County approval before they come to you for final site plan approval. And at such time, the township's engineer will be doing a detailed review of the stormwater drainage and detention. I'll start talking louder so that the applicant complies with the site plan itself. The last standard is not applicable because there is no residential dwelling unit on the site itself. This is not a residential development. So based on our review of the proposal for tree removal permit, it is our recommendation that the Planning Commission approve the request for tree removal for the subject site, subject to the following conditions: submission of a copy of Eagle's approval. The landscape and tree replacement plan submitted for final site plan approval shall be consistent with the plan that we saw at this time for the tree removal permit. So we will ensure that the same amount of replacement trees, same amount of landscape trees and sizes are met in the final plans that are before you. The staff will work with the applicant to evaluate a suitable landscape performance bond to cover any restoration work that is required in the event that on-site construction takes time to commence, and that is something Director Akers deals with the applicant itself. And a tree removal permit fee has been preliminary assessed with this application. So any additional fees for the review of this proposal itself needs to be paid to the township prior to commencement of any tree clearing activity. I would be happy to answer any questions or clarifications you might need.
We don't have any engineering report on a tree removal permit, I don't believe. At this time, if the applicant wishes to say anything or have a presentation, please come up to the podium and state your name.
My name is Danny Sampson. Thank you. We do not have a presentation, but we're here to answer any questions. Like McDonald's, we're good.
Thank you, Ms. Sampson. Planning commissioners, I will open it for planning commission discussion. Any questions or comments from the planning commission? Commissioner Creel, there was a lot of numbers in that report. Do they jive?
Well, I guess the only question I have for staff is, and it's probably nothing to do with, well, me as that. So with the development agreement that was initiated or agreed upon between the Township Board of Trustees and the applicant, I mean, they've already agreed to the replacement levels, and they've made a payment into the Township Tree Fund. Is this, I mean, so the numbers, I guess, don't really matter to the chair's point because they've already gone over those numbers, correct?
Yes, so the applicant has discussed it with township, but they will wait to pay it into the Township Tree Fund after Planning Commission approval because that is the right process to follow, assuming Planning Commission approves this. Typically, when we have tree removals, like I mentioned, the sites are much smaller. We are talking about a few trees, and the township establishes a tree replacement number. When you're looking at a site of this magnitude, it is also a project of this magnitude which we haven't reviewed before, and it's not very common. When you're looking at trees of this amount, the standard amounts that you apply to individual tree replacement or replacing 3 or 4 trees would not work out for this because the numbers would work out to something that would be under land use laws, not exactly very defensible.
Feasible.
So, right. So we believe the amount that is agreed upon between the township and the petitioner in this case meets the intent of the ordinance in order to preserve as many trees as is viable, maximize the landscaping, and also pay towards the township tree fund. So it's not like you're just taking trees out and not having to contribute towards additional tree planting within the township.
Thank you for the explanation. No further questions? I'm good.
Will say that thank you very much for the detailed analysis. I'm normally I'm the one who goes, wait a minute, I want the trees, but I believe that in this case the analysis supports the conclusion and that the reduced amount is reasonable and well justified. So thank you for the report and thank you for the work on it. At this time, there's no other Planning Commission discussion. I would open to any public comment. If the public has any comment that they would like to make regarding this, this item, please feel free to approach the podium and state your name. I do not see anyone raising their hand in the audience, and so I think we will move past public comment. At this time, I would entertain a motion on a decision regarding the tree removal permit. Do I have a motion?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Creel, please.
So I move to grant the tree removal permit approval for case number 25-015 Project Venture. A request by applicant HIP VI Enterprises LLC on behalf of owner Wayne County Airport Authority to remove trees on the subject site as part of the site's development plan pursuant to the requirements of section 8.106 of the zoning ordinance. This site is located at parcel that's documented in the agenda on the north side of Ecorse Road, south of Van Born Road, east of Denton, and west of Beck Road. Based on the analysis, subject to the conditions detailed in the McKenna letter dated July 13th, 2025. That's it.
And I hear support for the motion. Commissioners, is there any discussion of this motion or its contents? I don't hear any discussion. Hearing no discussion of the motion, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Jackson Paul,
Yes.
Peter Creel,
Yes?
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes. Excellent. Motion passes. You have your tree removal permit approved. I think it's going to be a very nice, nice looking site when it's said and done. This will take us now to item number 3. This is a discussion, Wayne County sidewalk letter. Director Akers is here to give us an update regarding the Wayne County's response to public sidewalks along street frontages for Project Venture, per our Planning Commission's request. Director Akers?
Thank you very much. So we included this in the packet. It was a letter from Wayne County regarding the sidewalks around the Stellantis project site. At the prior meeting, when we went through preliminary site plan approval, the Planning Commission had made a discussion point to have the applicant reach out to Wayne County to get their review over the installation of sidewalks on Denton, Beck, and Ecorse roads. And so we received that feedback request with a variance application from the applicant, and we wanted to present that letter to the Planning Commission so that way Planning Commission could have the opportunity to discuss it and provide any feedback for the Zoning Board of Appeals prior to their meeting on August 12th. So the letter was dated July 9th. The letter was provided by Sammy Caldy, who's the Director of Engineering at Wayne County. The county had expressed concerns regarding the installation of sidewalk along Beck, Ecorse, and that south end of Denton Road due to expressed concerns regarding environmental and safety concerns with the additional wetland impact and some of the high speeds that are within that industrial corridor. They also expressed on Beck Road that there is an open drain on the west side of the road, which it would require a drain crossing and be challenging to do an installation. So with that, I mean, that concludes my summary of the letter. I'm happy to answer any questions the Planning Commission may have to my ability.
Thank you, Director Akers. Planning Commissioners, any comments on what we've seen in the letter this evening or Director Akers' update?
Straightforward. We asked them to reach out, they reached out, and that's what they got.
And I believe the comment in the letter is that they really don't feel that, because of the high speeds and the wetland impacts along E-course, that a sidewalk is perhaps not justified there. Beck Road has an open drain, which would present a challenge. And I think we saw that on the plan as well. Any other questions
I
for?
mean, through the chair, I, as we kind of talked about during the preliminary site plan, I'm not in favor of the sidewalks just from a feasibility and to sidewalk to nowhere, right? I mean, I hate to use that terminology, but I would agree with the letter wholeheartedly. I mean, without even knowing the aspects of it, but that's me.
And I would agree with him, so it's me too.
Me three.
Hey, I'm normally the one who, in addition to saying, no, I want the trees, I'm the guy who says, no, I want the sidewalk. The little guy has to build the sidewalk, so should the big guy have to build the sidewalk. That's an opinion that I typically have in other planning commission cases. I will reserve my comments on whether I agree with this or not until a later date, since I am here chairing the meeting and trying to facilitate.
Mr. Chair, just to provide a clarification, when this site plan was first submitted, as you said, we always make everybody put in sidewalks, but we also see the context for the sidewalks. The whole idea of sidewalks is to provide pedestrian connectivity and walkability. That is why when one of the projects that's currently being built up on Belleville Road said, we'll put it in at a later date, Planning Commission said no, because people do walk Belleville Road, they go up to E-course Road, and then, some people even try further down to go up till Michigan Avenue. So the sidewalk was built. In this case, we did not believe E-course Road because of the fact that there is an airport and the issues pertaining to security. You do not, what in planning parlance we would call an attractive nuisance. You do not want to attract people to go down that road, because when people go somewhere where they are not supposed to, the opportunity for doing something that they are not supposed to is also greater. We did ensure that the applicant put in a sidewalk from their employee access on Denton Road all the way north till the railroad. So if in the future ever should the Denton Village subdivision area get a sidewalk, or the township should put in a sidewalk, it will eventually provide them with a connection all the way till Michigan Avenue. So the applicant would be putting in their part at this time for that portion. And Beck Road, I think we have discussed it previously also, and a few years ago when I was helping with Canton's Consulting, I do know Wayne County simply does not have the numbers to want to pave Beck Road at this time, because the stretch of Beck Road in Canton has got a lot of single-family homes. That's not nearly enough traffic to justify for them to invest the kind of money it would take to pave that road. So until then, it's a rough track.
Director Akers or Ms. Krishnan, my understanding is that the Planning Commission does not have the ability to simply waive the sidewalk requirement, and that this request would have to go in
Correct.
front of the BZA for a variance. Would you be recommending that the applicant request a variance on the sidewalks on the project as a whole, or would it be for specific streets, or would you be making a recommendation to the zoning board for some sidewalks and not other sidewalks?
So we do believe at this time that, there could be justification for the sidewalks from Denton Road South, and there's justification for the sidewalks along E-course Road. Because there are future plans to eventually pave Beck Road, and Beck Road leads north and will connect to Michigan Avenue, which has pedestrian facilities and has other areas on the opposite side of Michigan Avenue with homes and that. So, we do believe that a sidewalk eventually should be on Beck Road when Beck Road is paved. We've had some discussions with the applicant about this, and I mean, we're going to be discussing it with the BZA as well, but our current plan that we've been discussing is to enter into a sidewalk agreement with them to essentially defer installing that sidewalk until there's a paved road at that time. And the reason why we do that is, you know, when that road does eventually get paved, because of the industrial activity that's in the corridor, that road's going to likely be a 3 or a 5 lane road. And when it does that, it's going to expand past the point where the existing sidewalk would be installed now if there's a gravel path. So, you know, to having a sidewalk installed and to put especially if you're doing drain crossings, they make them put in these really large, expensive box culverts. So we would rather wait until the road is paved, wait until the sidewalk has a final location before we secure that. So we've had some very productive conversations. The township's entered into a sidewalk agreement with AMP before, you know, and sidewalks are installed with road construction projects all the time. So we think it'd be an appropriate way to move forward.
Correct. We have a precedent is on the Yoast Transfer Station. If you remember Yoast Transfer Station that came before the Planning Commission in 2020. They're similarly located in an industrial area, but it's not really a place where people walk in front of a solid waste facility or something. Someday that area will be dealt with all the M2 parcels that are around it. So a sidewalk agreement was conditioned for that project too. So there is a precedent where putting sidewalk at this time on an unpaved road where the sidewalk, when the road gets developed, will actually ripped out because we don't want the right-of-way acquisition would serve no purpose. So a deferred sidewalk agreement on deck would be appropriate, but waiving the sidewalk agreement from a plan standpoint, we think is justified on Eco's and the southern portion of Denton.
We did also enter into a sidewalk agreement with Subaru when they went into their plan. So the sidewalk agreement states that at the time township installs a sidewalk in that cemetery, then Subaru has to connect to that sidewalk. The details of this agreement, we're still working out details, but they'll be a little different.
Sounds good. Any other planning commission discussion? Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the sidewalk letter item this evening? I do not see hands going up. So, Dr. Akers, what kind of direction are you looking for on this? Sounds like we don't really need to provide any since this is.
No, so there's no formal action. I think the planning commission has provided discussion in the meeting minutes that we'll gladly forward to the BZA when they're under their consideration on August 12th. And yeah, that jade all the comments and feedback. Thank you.
Right. So planning commission doesn't have the ability to waive sidewalks. That's a BZA function. Wonderful. I think it was a good discussion. I think that takes us out of item number 3. And that, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and the presentations and being here and available for the questions. We appreciate it. At this time, we are on general discussion and updates. Any general discussion or updates from staff this evening?
The only item that I have is just as a reminder, we are going to have our Tri-Communities Joint Planning Commission meeting next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be at the high school in Belleville. So we sent out a notice. We're going to be sending out reminder emails to everybody tomorrow, but just keep it on the calendar, keep that evening open. Great, thank you. Do you have anything?
Any other? Commissioners, any updates? Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion for.
Motion we adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we haven't hit the motion yet. If she'd had 2 more words in, I would have had to say, I'm sorry, I have to wait for the next one. Please, I know you've been waiting in the audience. And I think you missed the general discussion section at the beginning of the meeting, but it's okay. If you could, please keep comments.
Questions. Name's Eric Schubert, Rocker Brewing Company, and we submitted some documents, and I'm just trying to get an update on where we stand. We were told the Planning Commission was supposed to meet last week, review documents, and we were, I guess, supposed to be on the docket today at the Planning Commission, but now we're on the board for August 5th, and I don't know what that means. I've got a really big partner that's waiting for a phone call after this, and I don't know what update to give. Is it, can you possibly explain where everything is?
Director Akers, think you can handle that?
Yes, so the application that was submitted was for a liquor license for the facility. That liquor license has to go to the township board for approval. When you had submitted it previously, we didn't have enough time to get it on the board agenda for that July, I think it was July 17th, I think 16th, 17th. We didn't have the ability to get it on to the next meeting is the 5th, so we're gonna be place it on there at that time. The board will consider a resolution in order to determine whether or not you can move forward in light of the savior. It was a brew pub license.
Yeah, we're already licensed in Canton, all the letters, so we do license transfer.
Gotcha.
We've been in business years now, but seem to, Canton allow us to have on-site consumption of our own product, and we've wasted quite a bit of money on a building that we didn't need. And we're trying to move as quickly as possible into a more favorable location, more favorable city, township, and we're hoping to get as much stuff as we could done as possible. We need some kind of a letter saying we have authorized to do it, so we can immediately go to the state to start that process. And I have no idea what the progress is here, what the timeline is, and I'm just trying to figure out. I got a phone call make.
And I apologize. I will get to you tomorrow. We can talk about all the specifics of the board, but the current plan is for you to have that resolution before our board on August 5th.
When they, if they answer, or if I answer request present what we have to present, will they make it then and say yes or no? That letter, that authorization letter? They
have the ability to pass a resolution if the board chooses to. Typically they do tonight, but it is up to the purview of the board if they make that call or not.
Super, sir. Does that answer your question? You know, if after the meeting, Director Akers can get a phone number for the business office so that you'll know who to talk to regarding the entire process. Director Akers, would this probably be a new building? Would this ever come in front of the planning commission, do you think?
This one likely would.
Likely would. Well, great. You're in good hands, and get Director Akers' number for the Township Building Department. We look forward to seeing your plans when the
Okay, sounds good.
Thank-
Appreciate your time, sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would entertain that motion.
I make any other question? Good. I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion is discussed. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The meeting is